You're on mute.
Okay, and I'll be on video here. It can't hurt, right? Yep. Okay. All right, now I'm going to restart that. We're going to get started. Happy Tuesday. Glad to be back after a almost 2-week vacation, which was pretty amazing. Got to see a lot of great old friends and hang out with my family. So it was great, really awesome. New York City's nothing like it. So for those that know it, know that, and those that haven't, go. It's pretty amazing. We have an amazing special guest who I'll introduce in a moment, and we got a lot of people on Zoom. Great to see everyone. The momentum continues in another stellar month of productivity, and I'll get into more detail on that in 2 weeks when we have the numbers, because we basically close out the month and we're only like 2 days into it, and we don't get all the official numbers till about 10 days later. So again, that's a function of everyone's collective and individual efforts. I pride ourselves on our culture of collaboration. As I always say, none of us is as smart as all of us, and I firmly believe that. And that's what really distinguishes this office, is the level of talent, but our willingness to share and work with one another, support each other, inspire each other, hold each other accountable. And that really elevates us beyond our own individual talents and skill sets. So let's move on to my slides. I want to talk about the power of listening. We can make that, okay. And my passion in life is to build and become a better leader, to build leaders and to become a better leader myself. My hashtag leadership incubator, it's my purpose, and Keller Williams has given me this unbelievably powerful platform to do that. And I'm very clear on that purpose and that mission, and that's why I'm as relentless and driven as I am. So leaders listen, right? So I want to talk about the power of listening. Next slide, Armand, please. It's an unbelievable conductor of energy, right? When you know you're being listened to, there's just a sense of respect and care that comes with that. And I think it really just of course, it connects people, but it's a transfer of energy, and it really builds relationships, and it's how we learn. So it's the force behind relationships, as it says here, right? By practicing the art of listening, you connect more effectively, and you do become a better leader. To me, leadership is a lot about connecting the dots. I consider myself a connector, but I'm always aspiring to become more adept at that, more effective at that, more purposeful in that. And listening is a big catalyst for that. It's integral to effective communication and negotiation, right, guys? I mean, we're in a business that's about relationships, it's about negotiation, and you can't possibly build a relationship, negotiate effectively if you're not listening to the person you're communicating with, whether it's your client, the agent on the other side, whatever the case may be. It really all begins with listening. Okay, next slide, Armand. Like, as I said before, it's a significant sign of respect, right? No one cares what you know till they know that you care. And when you listen, that's definitely a sign of respect and care, right? There's an intimacy that comes with that, right? Providing service and value to others begins with listening, right? Again, leadership is about value to other people, and it all starts with your ability to listen and understand where that person is and where they want to go, and how you can ultimately be the vehicle for their success, right? You don't know that if you don't know who they are and where they are, right? Without understanding their perspective, you can't possibly connect with them and ultimately make an impact on their lives. Any comments, any questions? I like this to sometimes be a little interactive, even though it often isn't. Yes.
As a new agent, I sometimes find it hard to listen if I have a question lingering in my mind and somebody's going high level. So how to do that respectfully, as well as not interrupt that person's train of thought, and could be better, because I find, like, I have a lot of questions, and that I find myself, tending to interrupt when I don't need to.
Great point. I do the same, by the way. So go ahead.
I would say, I found when I first started doing this, you just want to break into like the answer, like it's, when your clients is talking to you, but it's better to just take a beat, and with everything, whether a problem comes in, take a beat, let them tell you everything, and this way you can figure out the response after they're finished. Because also people get annoyed when you interrupt them, and you don't do it, with any ill will. had interactions with agents where, they're telling me something and I just want to say, it's okay, but they want to finish telling me their, what happened. And so it's like, it's an art. You have the art of listening.
Absolutely, it's an art, it's a discipline.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be frank with you, I find myself, I've got an idea and I don't want to forget about it, so I'm breaking into the conversation, not listening because I want to get my thoughts out, right? So it all, like almost everything comes back to self-awareness and practice, right? Number one, if you're aware of that, you can at least manage that. If you're not aware of it, then you can't manage it at all, right? So go ahead, Christen, you're gonna.
Take notes. I think someone's gonna be
That's a great point.
super impressed
Yep.
and feel even more listened to if you're taking notes during the conversation and have follow-up questions for them when you finish their thought.
Great point. Yep.
I know, like my classes, and Justin too, we always hang around afterwards. Like that's the time to interrupt us, or not interrupt us, but to grab us for individual questions and more backstory.
And again, to Kristen's point, when you take notes, that's another sign that you really care and respect and big time. So.
And if you're not in a position at that moment to listen, just tell them, say, look, I'm in the middle of doing something. Can we revisit this? Can we go back? Can we do? And again, it's like showing that you care, showing that you want to be there 100%, when you can.
Yep. Great feedback. Great point. Next slide, Armand. You build trust, you build rapport. Again, same common themes. I said the first thing. It's learned. It doesn't necessarily come naturally to most of us. That's a big point here, right? It takes practice. It takes self-awareness. It takes discipline, and that's the only way you become better at anything, right? It begins with being open-minded, and I think this is a great point. And we often make assumptions. That's part of life, and we assume that others want what we want. And if we're not willing to listen and ask the right questions to confirm that that's the case or to determine that it's not, then we often make bad decisions. Again, we project our ideas and our thoughts onto other people, often inaccurately. And if you don't ask the question, you don't listen, you'll never know that. So I think that's really, really important. Any other thoughts along that idea? All right, next one. I think we're last slide here. Right, it's the same thing. It's active, right? Right. It really takes concentration. It takes focus. Allows you to learn more, sends a valuable message of compassion and care, and it just tells people that they matter. Right? It's that same common theme. And as I said at the end, environment matters. Listening unlocks the door to collaboration. I pride ourselves on our collaborative environment here, and you can't collaborate if you don't listen. Right? I mean, collaboration is interacting, learning, working with other people. If you're not willing to listen, that's virtually impossible. So it really is the key that unlocks that powerful collaborative environment. Any other thoughts? Any other questions?
Yeah, listening and motivation. Those are the two things you have to know how to do yourself. That's not something that people should have to need to teach you. That just means you're interested in the world and you respect people around you. So it's these are all good things.
Yeah, love it. Any other feedback from the audience? I forget about them. No? Okay. All right. We're on to the next slide. So Mega Camp. We have two huge events every year. Family Reunion, which is always in February, and it's in a new city every year. I'm not sure what the plan is this year. Obviously, with COVID and everything's been completely unorthodox. Mega Camp is every year, typically in Austin, Texas, where we're headquartered. This year, there's been very limited attendance being offered at the actual Mega Camp in Austin. So as a region, we've partnered with a couple other regions to do our own version of Mega Camp in Las Vegas. They're going to be streaming in the actual Mega Camp in Austin during part of that, but we've got several special guests that will be in Vegas, and there should be, several thousand agents there in multiple regions. So I'm really encouraging everyone to go to Vegas. It's going to be powerful. Basically, you have top producing agents, leaders in our company that are sharing their best practices. That's basically the structure around Mega Camp. And it's typically geared toward top producers. And this will also be geared that way, but it's open to everyone. So my philosophy, even in this office, and we've had many conversations with the ALC, is that I want to cater toward the top. And then hopefully that lifts up everyone else who may not have that quite that level of experience. I don't want to, teach and cater toward, people with limited experience, right? So Mega Camp is very much that. It's, as you can see here, August 23rd through the 26th. The last day is a leadership day. So for agents, it's really the 23rd, the 24th, and the 25th. Do they have any more like specific agenda, Alex? I've been away for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So
so the agenda is now posted on the website and the link is in the chat. And then we've also sent the link out via email 2 times now, and we'll send it again this week. But all the details for the agenda are there, and the Mirage is where the event's taking place. You can book through there, and you can get your tickets on the website as well.
So the tickets, I believe, are $5.99.
They're $6.50.
$6.50. And then the Mirage, is that still an option or not?
The block is closed, but there's still rooms available.
Okay, at a pretty, it was like,
Yeah, it was like $60 a night. For
Yeah.
book yours.
and we're gonna do a dinner for anyone who attends here that will be on the house. So we're collaborating on Tuesday evening. It's just a ton of fun, a ton of learning, the networking opportunity. I mean, believe me, every top producer in Keller Williams, bar none, goes to family reunion and goes to Mega Camp every year. It's like a non-negotiable, because not because they have to, because simply they realize the return on their investment to do that. Questions, and I want people to ask me. Come on, no one has any questions. Come on.
I do.
Yeah.
It's about the hotel. Can I be in any other hotel?
You can be wherever you want.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I promise you, it will be an amazing experience. Like I've gone every year, of course, I'm in leadership, but nevertheless, I've gone every year since I've been there. I've learned more than I can imagine at Mega Camp, at Family Reunion. It's a ton of fun. It's just, it's a long day and a lot of fun, and it's an amazing learning experience. Keller Williams, the #1 training company in the country across all industries, and Mega Camp and Family Reunion showcase that on the highest levels. Questions from people on Zoom? Who, anyone on the ALC out there that's been to Mega Camp in the past, or Michael, have you ever been?
No, I've been.
Okay,
I've been family reunion.
Right.
So the 23rd is a Monday.
yeah,
I don't think there's any events actually that.
I
Monday.
think
Yeah, so on Monday.
that's a great point. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Monday from 3 to 5 is just the welcome, and then 5 to 7, there's a welcome reception. So the event really starts at Tuesday morning at 7:45 a.m.
Thank
So
you.
Really, it's 2 nights.
It's basically Tuesday and Wednesday, correct? So I mean, if I were going there, I'd make sure I got there, Monday night by then, so because it starts bright and early on Tuesday, yep. And you can come back, Wednesday evening, Monday night, Tuesday night would be my advice. No one else with any other questions? No one on Zoom with any questions?
Well, have you been to a Mega Camp?
Oh, I've been every year.
So
Yeah.
what sort of, what's discussed?
Yeah, so I mean,
What are the-
literally, so on Family Reunion, you pick your classes. You have a whole menu of things, depending on your level of experience or what particular topics, on anything and everything you can imagine.
It's a huge convention.
Right, huge convention. Mega Camp is everyone's at the same thing, unlike Family Reunion, so you don't pick and choose. But basically, they're gonna have several, and I don't know, I haven't seen the exact agenda, but I know what it looks like. They will have several top producers that will be there and talking about multiple topics, lead generation, how to do an amazing open house, how to build a team, anything and everything you can imagine, and what's going on in the industry. There's a state of the industry, all these.
Sounds more structured, whereas family reunion can be a little chaotic.
Right, yes, it's more structured. You don't have the options. Family Reunion, you pick your options. Mega Camp, everyone's in the same venue all at once. And again, it's geared toward top producers, but it's relevant for absolutely everyone. And it's like cutting it on the business. Who are the people doing things at the highest levels, and everyone's sharing their best practices. Again, that level of collaboration. Every year I've gone, it's a game changer. I come back like, you're like, wow, in a very good way. It makes you feel like all the things you're not doing. Right. That's my takeaway when I come back from them, like, and not to sound, I'm a pretty high performer, and I come back saying, wow, I've got so much more opportunity to learn and grow in an inspiring way. Yep. Yep. Anyone here? Any questions?
How do you buy the tickets, Josh?
The link is in the chat.
Okay.
The link
cool.
is in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
And I would hope to see, look, it's 650, let's call it a couple $100 for the hotel. The flights are dirt cheap. I mean, it's a great, and I don't make any money from it. I want you guys to be successful. It's that simple. If you're in doubt, I would absolutely go 100%. And anyone who goes and says it wasn't worthwhile, come back and talk to me and I'll compensate. Literally. I mean that. Any questions, guys? And if you have any questions, go to Alex, go to Josh, anything, come to me. But organize, and we're gonna need to get a head count, within another week or so, because we're gonna do a dinner just with our office Tuesday evening. So I want to make sure we know so we can book the restaurant and know how many people are going to be involved. All right. We're on to the next slide, please. Here's a little more detail. Go back to that one for a sec. Can you go back to the, did we cover everything? In-person breakouts with masterminds, live streaming, general session with Gary Keller from Austin. You guys can read it yourself. Social events, networking opportunities, food and beverage. It's a tremendous experience. A lot of preparation has gone into that. A lot of organization and preparation. All right. I don't know if Pele's here, but I just want to recognize our in-house escrow, Pele and Shirley, who have been working relentlessly to service a lot of the business that we do in this office. It's a great service. It's very convenient. I don't think they're around. Should we even try to get them? But they're amazing. And we waive your TC fee if you use our in-house escrow. So really encourage you guys to give them, if you haven't already, an opportunity, as I like to say, to earn your business. And I think we're going to post, or we already have, the people that have used Cannon Hills in the last month. Yep. All right, next. So we haven't got this month in yet, but as of June, through June, take a lot of pride in this, and as we all should, because this is not about me, it's about you guys. The #1 office in California in profitability, which is the ultimate measure of a business, right? Without profit, you can't sustain yourself. We've given back in profit share just shy of $407,000 through June in profit share. And we're number 19 out of 826 in the United States. So again, pretty remarkable. It's a very competitive business. We're in one of the most competitive markets, maybe the most competitive market in the country. So that's a pretty amazing accomplishment. And I just want to keep that ball moving forward and continue to gain momentum. And it's all a function of hungry, humble people that are doing the work and sharing and collaborating. So congratulations. And I'll hold myself accountable. It's not where you start. Now, granted, we're halfway through, it's where you finish. So I hope to see what that looks like at the end of the year, which makes me nervous, by the way, but nevertheless, that's a good thing. So, all right, next. We have some amazing people we want to recognize. I'm going to let Christen drive this, and she's got a little ankle challenges, so she'll stay seated.
Hi, guys. We have 2 mentees graduating today, both Justin Jacobson's mentees. Justin, do you want to join us?
And let me, for most of you know Christen, but a couple people are new. Christen is our director of training, as well as one of our top producing agents. And we're going to talk more about that, who has her own team. And then Justin is our productivity director. And these guys provide tremendous value to anyone in this office with respect to their training and their education. And that's a big part of our culture here. So thank you both. Awesome.
So this is my first time doing this. I'm really nervous.
Oh, you're great.
No, I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous, but I'm really proud.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm seeing Cynthia for the first time in person.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay? But I feel like she's like family to me.
Yeah.
And we're like, these are 2 people that I'm so proud of. I'll start with you, Cynthia. Cynthia, she doesn't know the word no. She basically says, if I'm going to go after something, there's no alternative. I'm just going to get it, whatever it is. She will, doesn't matter where the property is located, she will find that seller and she will get that business. And these are the conversations that you and I have. You know, the night before she's going for a listing, she's like, yeah, it's fine, I'm not leaving until I get it. It's so matter of fact because it's in her wiring. And when you have it in your wiring, you can't help but succeed. And I'm so proud of you. I mean, what you've accomplished is incredible, and I really know it's just the beginning. And that's
Amazing.
that's really the truth. I mean, what she's done already in her career, everybody who is a newer agent should take note, because she's able to inspire herself every day, and she's fighting for her family and for a greater future. And she also recognized something that's really important, which is that you have to reinvest in your business. That you can't just say, okay, I have this commission and I'm gonna go on a vacation instead of knowing that I can really put this money to work. Because as you know, once we close a deal, there's momentum attached to that. And she recognizes that and reinvests in her business, and she creates more and more momentum. So I'm just talking about, you're here, but I'm talking about you,
Yeah.
okay? This is real life.
In front of you.
Yeah. You can hear me, right? Okay.
I don't know Cynthia that well, but I can tell you the few times that she wanted to speak to me, she spoke to me.
Yeah.
She found me, she hunted me down, and she got my attention, which is the way you have to do it in real estate to succeed. So really, congratulations to you.
And I gotta throw in a little something in full transparency. So Cynthia was here and she ended up leaving. I forget how long after she was here. And then I lured her back. And so that's awesome.
You actually
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
And Justin came in and he just changed everything. So that was amazing. And I'm doing great.
Absolutely.
I'm all over the place. Just last week alone, right now I got 5 listings. So
You moved on elsewhere, and then I think you recognized, hey, there was a lot more here than you realized. This is a message maybe for newer agents that don't have a frame of
Well,
reference.
she hadn't met me yet.
Yeah, that's true too. That is literally true.
And I just imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But she really, I'm telling you, you know, and the 5 listings are just, she's not comfortable.
Yep.
5 listings, a lot of agents, whether they're new or not so new,
Right.
would be comfortable, would say, okay, I'm good.
Yep.
I'm good, not even close. She's like, where's the next one?
Yeah,
now I got
Yep.
2, I'm working on 2 other ones.
there you go.
Exactly.
Yep.
And she'll get them.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what's so
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yep.
So I really applaud you.
Congratulations. Awesome.
Yeah.
It's my first time.
Oh, thank you. Good job, everyone.
Awesome. Get a picture? I mean,
Yeah, let's do
yeah,
it.
come on. Yeah.
Let's get some pictures. Anyone else want to?
Let's have you here. We're good. Yeah, come up here. Alex, you can take it off. Take a picture.
Have you ever worn it?
What?
The mask?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Get her in the middle.
All right.
Or I guess I'll put mine on.
Come on.
Good job.
Right, yeah.
Photograph is forever.
All right.
Good. Awesome. Congratulations.
Congratulations again.
Congratulations. Thank you.
5 listings.
Fantastic.
2 more
Yeah.
on the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go. All right, you're up
So
for the
how
next
she
one.
got the 5 listed, like who's calling?
Yeah, Cynthia, tell us.
I'm really not a big fan of, I like people, I like to talk to people, so I'm usually out there and just knocking on doors. I make friends very easily, and a lot of time I've been referred because I connected with one person, and that led to another listing, somebody else. Was it last week? I think I called you on Monday or Tuesday. I'm like,
Yeah.
I gotta get, because I've been working on this thing for a month and a half, and she just called me this morning and she's ready. So
Number
I
one
have to
thing.
drive to Palm Springs. That's
Palm
it.
Springs, still.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not around the corner.
yeah.
Yeah.
I drove to Palm Springs and I got there. We were supposed to meet at 3 o'clock and she was like, she calls and she goes, oh, I can't do it today. I'm like, okay. When can you do it? And she's like, well, what about tomorrow? I go, I'm not going anywhere. So let's do tomorrow. So the next day, 9 o'clock, I met her at the properties and she had 2 condos. And, we walked through it and we sat down and we had a nice talk and she ended up signing both condos to me. And I also find out that she has a home that it's been remodeled right now and she's thinking about putting on the market. So that would be a third. And from there, so I didn't walk away without signing my contract. She signed both listing, even though I don't want to list both because they're both next to each other. I don't want to list both at the same time. So I was like, okay, we're gonna start with one and we'll see how things goes. And we'll put the other one, but I need you to sign both contracts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so by the time I left, I needed to talk to the HOA, which I did the next day. I had to track him down. And then I find out that he's also interested in listing one of his units. And then my client's calling me a couple of days later. He had her neighbor that's asked for my business card. So I'm driving tomorrow to Palm Spring and I'm meeting with the other 2.
Whatever it takes.
So you'll be
That's
spending your
it.
summer there,
Yeah.
huh?
It's warm,
Yeah.
it's hot,
Yeah.
it's terrible.
Yeah.
Only 118 today.
I know.
Yeah. Wow.
I know, but it's a market,
80 here,
I mean, it's a good market and, and it's amazing for somebody like me. I'm in Beverly Hills and I'm making enemies there with other agents.
Yeah.
Because they're like, you taking your market. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, hold on.
I always say Beverly Hills travels, it goes anywhere, right? So,
That's what happens when
Yep.
people fall in love with you, trust you, and then they talk about you.
Yeah.
That's the best. Thank goodness. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Pamela.
What you know, Cynthia? Yeah, one of the benefits of Keller Williams is that you can go into any other city's office. And just
Yep.
like, so I encourage you to go into Palm Springs, Keller
Okay.
Williams office, introduce yourself, go to the computer. That owner owns the Rancho Mirage office, do the same thing
Oh,
there.
that's a
They're
good.
very
that's good
friendly.
to know.
Yeah.
You'll be one of
That's smart.
their meetings.
Yeah.
Let them know about the listing, that kind of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. That's a great advice. And if you need a connection, I can connect you. I don't actually know, but I know I'm probably one step away from whoever owns that.
I know.
So,
Okay.
George.
Look at George.
Yeah.
George Gaspar,
I mean-
our second graduate.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I mean, first of all, George is the best dressed person in this room.
right.
It's our office.
Yeah.
Let's start with that. Best dressed man in this office.
Right.
My boyfriend talks about it. He asked me to invite George over. He stalks him at work. How many times does he ask you, where do you get your suits?
Yeah, many
Couple
times.
times, yeah.
So George is an amazing guy. I have so much respect for George. These are like 2 of my favorite people are kind of graduating at the same time. So it's a great benefit to me.
Empty nester.
Exactly. So George is a student of real estate too. He's incredibly curious about how to succeed, how to do it most efficiently, how do we do it as fast as possible, because he has a deep anchor to providing a better life for his family. So when you have this depth about you, there's no quit in George. Wherever there's an opportunity, he's also going to go after it. He's going to figure out, okay, if I know this type of meeting I'm having, how do I perform the best of my ability? That's George in a nutshell. So he's always ready. He's going to do the things that other agents might not do. He's going to take that extra step. And that extra step, that mentality is what separates George from some other agents who won't take that extra step. And that's the difference between mediocrity and success.
Couldn't agree more.
And George embodies that. And I'm incredibly proud of you. I mean, you've done an amazing job of staying the course. George has a long commute to get here. He has a lot of responsibilities in his life, a lot more than some other people, and he still performs to the highest of his ability. And it's incredible, man. You've come so far, and I know once again, like Cynthia, you're just in the beginning of your career. but you've already created this incredible foundation for success. And you have an incredible teacher in Christen, and you're gonna go really far. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Go, yeah.
I recognized the talent in George right away. He would come into my office, ask me questions. He looked good, he smelled good, so I took some time answering those questions. Asked him what cologne he was wearing, thankfully it was unisex. So I was so impressed with George right off the bat. I personally coached with Justin myself. And by the way, my business just went off the charts when I did. And I've grown a lot, so I highly recommend Justin as a business coach.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. I was so impressed that I asked George if he would join my team, even before he graduated mentorship. And so we signed a contract saying that the day he graduated, he'd be officially part of my team.
Oh, wow.
And I gave him a lease lead before he had been graduated. It was a cheap lease lead. It wasn't a beautiful unit. Not knowing at the time that he lived all the way out in Orange County and had another full-time job and a baby at home. And this man would wake me up with questions and he'd put me to bed at night with questions. And I'm thinking to myself, he sleeps less than I do, but he's got a way better attitude. So I'm so grateful. He said yes. You know what he did from that lease lead? He got 2 more just by talking to the neighbors. And I was really pleased to hear it. He's done quite well. He does all the right things. I know why. Don't know where you get that energy, but I'm really proud to work with you. I'm really proud to be a part of your career, and I'm so thankful, to have you on my team and to, have your great presence and spirit around. It lifts us all up. Thank you.
And I'll also say a similar story. I worked very hard to get that guy here. And there was several iterations. I forget the exact details because initially we met and he decided no for the time being. He was at a smaller brokerage in Orange County, right? And then eventually, I forget exactly the detail you may remember, I remained persistent and here he is. And I'll say the common denominator amongst many things is how, and you guys have referred to it, the positivity, the attitude, the energy that goes so far, guys. I cannot explain that enough. Like that you guys both share. You're always smiling, both of you. You're always projecting that energy. It's very authentic and people sense that and they gravitate toward it. So amazing for both of you guys. Yeah.
I have to say, these two together right there is a big trouble.
Yeah.
They are a big trouble
Yeah.
together. And I feel the first time that I talked to them, it's the most important because when you go to an office like that and you don't know people, it is hard for you to put your whole trust in somebody and your goals and share their dreams. And it's so real. They're genuine. They're genuine help. Look, I'm going to help you, and I don't want nothing back. And it's so weird to have that we want to say, let me give you something. No, I don't want anything. I just want to help you to get where you want to go. So I applaud you guys.
I couldn't agree more. I would say leadership is giving with no expectation of anything in return. And when you live your life that way, it's amazing how big your world can be. So I love that. Thank you guys. Awesome. Get a picture of it too.
I want a picture.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
With a mask on.
I know, that's funny. Don't put it on. It's hilarious.
Thank you.
Awesome, man.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Michael, I think I missed you.
No worries.
Sorry,
Not
our
much
little.
to say. Hope everyone is doing well. So I just want a little housekeeping stuff. When you guys are on the verge of closing your deals, make sure Veronica, the office, your TC knows about any credits, any referrals that are going to be given, because if you guys want to get paid in a timely manner, Veronica needs to know to issue a correct CDA to escrow. There's been a couple instances where, last minute, there's a referral to another brokerage and things have to get, reissued, and that causes a delay. Also making sure that you guys, if you are doing your own files and not a TC, make sure you pick and choose the correct opportunity checklist. When you do that, that sets basically the tone for how you upload and what documents get uploaded to command. So, don't do one single PDF for every single file in it, do it the correct way.
Is there a tool in there to break them apart? Someone told me there was.
It's called Docusign Rooms, I think is what you could use. I have Acrobat, which I could use, but Docusign Rooms, if anyone, and I think who's our tech person, maybe Carlos could instruct. And you didn't hear from me, but ask Blake, he knows how to use it.
We should do a class on
Same thing
Docusign
I
Rooms.
Yeah. But don't tell him I
Blake
sent you over there.
We'll do a class on Docusign Rooms.
Yeah, so Docusign Rooms allows you to split up the documents and put it in there. Thank you.
And
Yeah.
there's a free DocuSign account in KW Command for each one of these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pretty expensive.
I
I'm guilty
personally-
myself. That's one
yeah.
I just found out about this.
And I personally like DocuSign better than the other program that's out there. I feel it's more user friendly, but to each his own. And then if you have a new listing and you want it advertised, e-blast, make sure you let Carlos know. Because sometimes things, if you don't let him know, he won't know to send it out in the weekly emails. And make sure your license, if it's expiring soon, you are renewing it. You can't do anything that requires a license if it's expired. So just remember that. And I'm gonna be out of the office on Friday. So I sent out an email. And if you need anything, Nina is the broker of record for Studio City. She's in an office right by Cannon Hill.
And she's an agent here.
And she's a broker associate.
Yep.
Here. So she's agreed to answer questions. If you need anything signed, referral agreements, commission instructions, you can send it to Josh. He'll sign it. And then if you have any legal problems, Jeff Kahn, I sent the legal intake form and I already signed it. So all you have to do is just fill it out and send it to them. So.
And then the other thing is Mia is no longer with us.
Yeah, so that email though is an office email. So anytime you send anything to her,
Assistant
it's just gonna
MCA,
go to
Veronica.
Veronica, and we're looking to get somebody hired ASAP. But basically anything that you went to Mia for, you send the email to Joshua or Veronica.
Yep.
And that's it. Anyone have any problems, questions?
I do have a question from a client.
Masks are still required in all showings and open houses.
Yes. Okay, this is a question from one of my clients, and he's asking if banks are cutting back on mortgage lending.
Banks cutting back on mortgage lending. Where's May?
Yeah.
So May is with Movement Mortgage. She's one of our clients.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Speaking of, go ahead, Mike. I'm not gonna say.
Not
'Cause I always tend to
I mean,
overlook May, and I'm not gonna do that this time. So.
as with anything, the banks, they love to ask things at the last minute, they want payoffs. And then if it takes too long for docs to get issued and the payoff that they ordered, 15 days ago expired, they need another one. And that, so it can be a frustrating circle. And realize that, you have to just, make sure you tell your, advise your clients that stuff happens. Mass.
Oh, man.
No peds, that still has not, hopefully will not come back.
Yeah,
But-
everyone knock on wood. please.
Yeah, but masks are still required, especially with this new Delta variant. It just, you don't know how it's spreading. We've heard that people, that have been vaccinated have been coming down. So, the best way is just to use masks.
Yeah.
And you were gonna tell us how you hurt yourself.
Okay, so I'm sorry for brushing you guys all off. You've asked me what happened to my foot or my ankle. I've been busy because of my lack of mobility. So Cancun self limits. I don't know if you guys know what happened last time I was in Cancun. My dog sitter lost my dog, but I went back to fix that trip this time. And so I was at this kind of amusement center, and they have a simulation machine with water jets that's like wakeboarding. So that'd be a great story, right? Well, I didn't actually get on that machine. I stuck my foot in the water in one of those jets and it ripped me off my feet, ripped off my bikini and slammed me against the wall on my ankle. And I was a little embarrassed because they had given us this big long safety talk about making sure you protected yourself from the wall when you hit it. So I was much more concerned about not flashing anyone than I was about protecting myself, and in hindsight, maybe I made the wrong choice.
Well, feel better.
Yeah, please, yes.
Anyone, anyone on the internet with any questions? on
Any
that?
questions from the audience here? All right,
All right.
so I'm gonna move quick because we gotta catch up a little bit. Brandon, Lauren, just sort of a quick synopsis on the
I'll
market.
just make some quick guys. Going back to Pele, there's another good reason to use your in-house estimators. We've been working, Fidelity, First American, a lot of the title companies have been working with Pele real close for several years. And that benefits any transaction, whether it's yours or someone else in the office, because that relationship in place. Because when things come up on a prelim, when it requires, kind of a discretionary decision that's not always black or white, we will always listen to the opinion of Pele and Shirley. We tend to follow and favor that opinion as opposed to someone we may not know, someone out of town escrow. And so that has really allowed a lot of transactions to close, at least from the Fidelity side. So it's really beneficial having those relationships in place. And we love Haley and Shirley. They work on the weekends. I'm part of all these emails. So it's just good to see that these relationships have really been fruitful in the last year and a half. And then the market's still hot, guys. July just ended. 10 days from now, everyone will read how fantastic July closings was. Be prepared, use that to your advantage, leverage it like everything else is statistics, but it'll, hit the media. They'll talk about how great it was. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Brandon. Awesome. Lauren?
Yes to the teamwork. For those that don't know me, I'm Lauren Goldman with First American Title, and as Brandon said, it's a team effort and it's teamwork. So we make each other look good is basically the deal. The deal must close. It's got to stay on track. So we're all, if somebody is familiar to us, we're going to go with it. The money's coming, I believe you. The doc's going to be here, I believe you. It's that type of team effort that makes this business go round. I'll say this about the market real quick, guys. It is hot, but be careful. If you are overpriced, you will sit. If your property is not as done as something down the street, you will sit. If you blow that first buyer out expecting a second one, that second buyer may not be here today where they were yesterday. Rates are still very, very low and everybody's expecting them to tick up a little bit. So the buyers are trying to get in there before that last little rate increase hits them. But be careful. If you're not priced well, and if you are just not looking good on the market, you will be one of those properties that sit. So where there were 3, 4, 5 buyers behind, there's maybe only 1 or 2 now. The market's coalescing a little bit, adjust accordingly.
Well said.
If the rates go up, is there a time when it's likely to happen? Or
No, we've seen that the rate went up right after the election. It's gone down a little bit now. They're not expecting anything to happen until next year, nothing drastic. To answer your question, lending has actually been a little bit more flexible now. We've come up with a lot of jumbo product that is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with what we call Fannie Freddie guidelines, which we, even if the loan is $3 million, we put through that system and it asks us for 1 year taxes to go with it. It's really been much more flexible in the last 2 months. So it's expanded dramatically. And then I'm doing a class tomorrow for all the no income, no asset documentation loans that came out, and mostly for investment, not for owner occupied. Owner occupied will do like 12 months bank statement or for self-employed people. So there is a lot of product out there. Of course, it's not the VA loans or the FHA, the conventional stuff. But we're really running with Fannie Freddie, even on a jumbo. We're right now, just to keep it in here, we're more working with Goldman Sachs right now. So we're actually portfolioing these loans. So it's going to be huge, but that's happening right now. So that's why we expanded dramatically. So this month, I don't remember, I closed my smallest loan and my biggest loan in July, $4 million purchase and $130,000 loan. So I do it all, and I'm good with self-employed people, so call me.
What time's your class tomorrow, May?
12 o'clock.
12 o'clock. And May's office is right around the corner May is our in-house lender with Movement Mortgage. She's amazing. So definitely, any questions, don't hesitate to go directly to May. She's awesome.
So not tax return, usually the stated loan.
It's 12 months bank statement. If it's owner occupied, if it's an investor loan, you can do what we have with the rental property. They're available. Actually, the rate is better than the conventional loan that we have.
How much down?
25. And 6 month reserves for sure.
Any other questions for May? All right, good stuff. I'm gonna be very, very fast with wants and needs. If anyone wants to pitch a deal or wants to quickly talk about it that they have, because I want to be mindful of the time. Yeah.
I'm relatively new to the office. My name is
Sydney.
I have an open house, so I'm sitting this week. We have any extra signs, old signs, they're not using, let's borrow them.
You can see me, I'll have extra signs. All my listings are in escrow.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Love it. Thanks, Kristen. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a need for a 3-bedroom in the hills, preferably in zip code 90068. Could be a complete fixer project up to about 1.6. Privacy, doesn't even have to have views. If anyone has anything.
Awesome.
We need fixer, but I'm sure everybody is looking for it, but I just throw it at you. Fixer, 2 million, 3 million, 5, 10 million, anything, we just do it. So if you want to get rid of something, call us, I'm set for you.
Love it. Anyone else here? Anyone else on Zoom that wants to share a listing or coming soon or has a need?
I do, if you can hear me.
Hi, Tiffany. Yes.
Hi. Yeah, I do have a couple of things. I have a pocket downtown, a 1-bedroom studio style loft, so no wall at the bedroom. That is at 450,000. It's in the Cornell building, 11th floor, so top floor of Santee Village. And then I also have a 2-bedroom, 3-bath townhouse in Tarzana, which will be hitting the market next week. That one is at 575 with an attached garage and unit.
Can you send me info on that? This is George Morales. I think I may have a buyer for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll put my phone.
Awesome,
I got it,
Tiff.
George.
Got it. Thank
If
you.
you get connected, you can always text me. Anyone else?
By the way, I have a 4-bedroom house coming up in Winnetka with a pool on a little bit smaller, under 2,000 square feet, coming on the market in 2 weeks. So I'll give you more info, but if anyone has a buyer, I'll work it out with you. It's the starting point is going to be 9,999.
Great work, George. Anyone else on Zoom or in the audience here? All right. I think we got everything, right? Well, Kristen's up next.
Oh, Mindy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mindy. Yes. I'll get out of the way. So
All right,
Mindy, you can stand up here.
thank you.
Yep.
It is such a pleasure to see everybody live. I've been Zooming for 15 months with your office, and now I get to see you in person. So thank you for having me. I am Mindy with My NHD. Natural hazard disclosures is the only industry in real estate not regulated and mandatory. Civil Code 1103.7 came out in 1994 to protect the buyer on their biggest purchase of their house. Since 1994, there have been no new laws up until this year. January 1st, Assembly Bill 38 went into effect. That means that the seller has to tell the buyer, are they in a high fire or a very high fire severity zone? How do you know that? You get your NHD report when you get your listing. It used to be, for 16 years that I've been in this industry, I've been saying, don't wait till escrow opens to get your NHD. Now, there's no question. You can't wait. And it's because how do you know if you need to give the form on the dispensable face from CAR if you are not in this zone or you are in this zone? So if the house is older than 2010 and high fire or very high fire severity zone, My NHD uses state maps, county maps, and most important, local maps. The local map of Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, Hollywood, Redondo Beach, the whole state, all 58 counties Our local map is what will supersede state and county every time. So let's check out my slideshow, which is really cool. This is the high fire and very high fire severity zones in California. Look at our state and look how the colors are. Light pink, dark pink reflect high fire, very high fire. Let's look at the next slide. The next slide is going to show you, here's the state level. I'm sorry. Here's the state level. Here's the house. The state says you're in a high fire. No, you're not. But the county and the city say you do. Look at the difference. There are NHD companies saying they're in compliance with AB 38, not using a local map. The reason we know is we're getting calls, reports. They say they're not in high fire, but they can't get high fire insurance from 10 different carriers. Kind of means they probably are. So my point here is when the reports are not all the same, you need to decide, since it's your fiduciary duty as the listing agent, get it when you get your listing, no money up front, call us, go online, use our email and our website, get the report in 15 minutes, then you'll know where you are, high fire, very high fire, or not at all. This is, I know it's kind of hard to see here, the signature page from CAR with the flood, fire, and earthquake on it. Just a second, Pam. If it is not in a high fire zone, you go back to what I was looking at, please. Oh, so sorry. Thank you. But it's okay. This is the signature page CAR created in 1994. Nothing has changed. Are you in high fire severity zone, or a wildlife zone, earthquake zone, flood zone? What's different is if the state says, no, you're not in a high fire zone, it will not be on the signature page. If it is in high fire on the state, it will be. If it is not on the state level, it goes on our summary sheet. Not everybody does one. Our summary sheet will reflect high fire, very high fire, or very high fire severity zone. In the last week, we've changed our report to show, not just circle in red, not just say yes, yes, where it's high fire. Let's go to the next slide, please. We've also got it now on our page. Page 7 tells you all the definitions of very high for fire. So local level, county level will be on the summary sheet, state level, signature page. Not to confuse you, but it's because high fire, very high fire, and very high fire severity zones are what CAL FIRE and our fire departments have listed. But we also have moderate and low, which is probably going to be added within this year. So to help the buyer know, do they need insurance? What do they have to do to keep their house safe and compliant? This is what you need, an accurate, complete report. We protect everybody in the transaction, $10 million of E&O, buyer, seller, listing agent, buyer's agent, TC if you use one, and escrow. Not everybody protects all of those people in the transaction. This is what went into effect January 1st, 1 to 4 units, any home that was 2010 or older, you had to use the form FHDS. These are the 6 items that are on the form. The form was revised July 1st. Go to the next screen, here we go. What's different now is that the seller has to now give a document to the buyer because chances of them being in compliance before the close of escrow is probably very low. So the buyer now has 1 entire year from the day they close escrow to make their home compliant to AB 38 if they're in these high fire zones. What does that mean? It means that they've agreed by signing this agreement. This is what's required on the fire hardening defensible space form that CAR provides. And all you do is give it to the seller. They check off what they did or did not do on their home to make it compliant, like clearing the brush, having tempered windows, making sure shingles and things on the roof are in place. There's 6 items and they all pertain to the homes in these high fire zones. This is what the state of California has basically rolled out this year. Next slide, please. Okay, so I just went through that. Next one. This is the new form from CAR. The 6 items are right here. So it's real easy. Seller fills it out. You don't touch the form. If they don't know, they don't check it. It's that simple. And the next form, please. Next slide. So defensible space basically is keeping your property clean so that the grasses, the shrubs, all the space around your home, that there's more ability for air to flow through all kinds of areas, right? Makes sense. So I want to share with you that we just added last week on all reports that are in high fire, very high fire severity zones. We've added a link for the buyer to click on that takes them to CAL FIRE, and they can set up an appointment to have CAL FIRE come out, assess their home, and see if it's up to that compliance. If it's not in the state level and it's in the county or the local level, they'll be guided to a local fire department. Everybody is hiring so that they can get more people out there to help with the sales of real estate, of course. So when people say, oh my God, it's not going to be done before close of escrow, that's why this new form is in place for the seller to give to the buyer to make sure that they do it within the year. Okay, next slide, please. This is on the website of CAL FIRE. And I suggest you not only look at this, but look at our website. It tells you all the different things to do if you're in zone 1, zone 2, what's required by law. This is rolled out from CAL FIRE. This is also on their website, which is really cool. So for lack of timing, you guys can go through and read what needs to be done. It's not your obligation to do it for your seller. It's to guide them. And if you're the buyer's agent, let me make one thing really clear. Right now, with all the multiple offers, so many people are writing seller's choice or writing nothing, blank, because they're afraid if they write in their offer who they want, you won't accept it. Number one, the NHD is not regulated. Please don't ever do that, because what happens is you've given all of your, basically you have no voice to represent your client, the buyer. The seller can give you an NHD they buy online for 50 bucks, may not have insurance, may not use local maps, but they satisfied their official need of an NHD. When you write nothing and leave it blank or seller's choice, you can't say, oh, I would like my NHD. It's $74.95. We're in partnership with Sierra on your zip forms. First drop-down box on the RPA. And we've had no lawsuits ever since 1994. That's why you choose us. Not just that we're the preferred vendor for forward living, but it's because we keep you safe and protected. That's the key.
And you can check the buyer pays for it, which is not, you know, you could even cover that.
90% of the time it's the seller who buys it.
Right.
But
Like the seller.
let's pretend the seller says I'm only paying 50 bucks and ours is $74.95.
Make a difference.
Are you gonna pay $25 different at the end of escrow to make sure that your client has the right report? I promise you, nobody is gonna say I'm not taking that offer because of an NHD. Trust me.
Would you come back and teach a class? on
I would
that?
love to. I was
Yeah.
teaching prior to COVID with
When you have
Christen
more time, yeah,
all the
that'd be
time.
Great.
So go on our website, check it out, see the sample report. And I think, is there another slide or two at the very end here? Is there another one is that it? That's the last one? Okay, so yeah, there it is, zone 2. So zone 2 is 30 to 100 feet from the property. So then that has just different requirements. So I am always here to be of service. We have a fabulous customer support department. We own all of our data. We have our own engineers, and the key is to keep you safe and protected. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I have a lot of food, so don't be shy at the end.
Thank you, Minnie. Really appreciate it.
All right, let's sit here.
Oh, there it is.
So this woman, again, most of you guys know, take this off. Has just been such a huge asset to our office. Her drive, her knowledge, her focus are just phenomenal, and her care are phenomenal. Really, just such an asset. Oversees our mentor program, teaches all the contracts and disclosures, and has built a really very extremely successful real estate team and business. So happy to have you here. I know there's so much wisdom for you to share. maybe to start off with telling us a little bit about, just your background, how long you've been in real estate, what that evolution has looked like to bring you here.
Sure. So I've been in real estate for 21 years now. I started off as a poor kid, not knowing what I wanted to do. I became an escrow assistant by blind luck. I was good at it and I liked it. I did that while I was in college, and literally the day I graduated college, I took an escrow desk. And I thought I found my calling. Let me tell you, your escrow officer works really hard and it's a very thankless job. Be very nice to your escrow officer. There's a reason I don't do that job anymore. It is not worth it to me. If your escrow officer can still smile at you at the end of the day, they're an excellent person. Again, better than I.
It is hard.
Yeah, it's a hard job. So then the real estate last real estate crash came, and I went from being this starry-eyed kid who could work and work and work and make endless amounts of money as long as I was willing to put in the work, to barely making anything. And I was really shocked. I didn't know what to do. And I was certainly not going to be an escrow officer for peanuts because, like I said, it's a hard job. So I met a man here in Beverly Hills who wanted to start a development firm. So I ran a development firm for him for a while. I was the first hire. I learned business admin. I was in no way qualified to be that hire. But I learned my way through it by reading, guys. Reading is a really powerful tool. I developed my tool belt through escrow and running a company I was not qualified to run. How to get what I need. The many different faces of Christen, be sweet, be pushy, play dumb, helpless. My boss is gonna fire me, please help. I found my way to get what I needed and learn. And, I didn't really have a choice. I didn't have much money or support backing me. So, I'd say in the early days, that's kind of what gave me my push. Eventually, obviously the market shifted and sales came back in. And I flipped into a real estate assistant position. I worked as very high real estate assistant for a long time. All of that escrow background gave me a lot of knowledge that is not very common for an agent. So I feel really blessed to have that behind me. And one day I decided that I wanted my boss's paycheck. One day I decided, he's been out of the country for 2.5 months and I have about $500,000 sitting on his desk. I want some of that. I was a little afraid, but I did it. And I had been so overworked by my employers. They're the ones who instilled work ethic in me. It wasn't born into me. I was maybe a little abused. So when I started my own business, I always constantly felt like I wasn't doing enough. I was doing something wrong, right? Well, I ran circles around a lot of new agents because I had that work ethic and I put the time in, and maybe I had some dumb luck too. I've never looked back. I love being an agent. I love working for myself. I love being at this office. I love this area. This is definitely what I was meant to do, and I love doing it, and I'm never going to stop.
Love it. And so when Christen came and well, actually when we first met, that was a challenge in and of itself. I think back, it's interesting, all the history of the people that many are here now. Boy, it took a lot of perseverance from me, quite frankly, to get them here. So, right? I mean,
well, you just wanted an agent, and I told you I had a lot more to offer than just my sales.
There you go. Yep. And then we created this opportunity, right? Because I knew how talented and driven she is and was then. So, and clear that's come to reality.
And I actually love teaching guys more than I love selling real estate. For sure.
You're a great teacher.
Thank you.
I know that from just being with you for over a year, a lot.
And anyone who hasn't taken Christen's classes, no matter what level of experience you have, believe me, you should be there. Thursdays at noon, they're phenomenal. Like literally, I've never heard anything other than that from many, many very experienced people. And I know Christen well enough to know who she is and her attention to detail, and again, her drive. One of the things that struck me and what I want to talk a little bit more here, and this is an ongoing conversation Christen and I have had, is about leverage, is about coaching. First of all, she took a huge leap of faith with coaching with Justin, and you heard what she said about that, because I think that's been a huge catalyst to your growth. Because Christen's always been, I think fair to say, a control person, which is not unusual in this business, right? Her attention to detail, her high standards are phenomenal, but it can be a double-edged sword when you're not willing to let go and delegate, right? Because the
Yeah, I
only
can't,
way
you
to
can only
grow.
grow so much.
Yep, so I think that's a huge point, and one of the things that Keller Williams really provides is a platform to build a team and create leverage, and team means many, many different things. There's many different degrees of leverage in building a team. It can be just one other agent or just an executive assistant, or it can mean just literally having great affiliates, a great lender, but whatever it is, like leverage is essential to growth. Right, if
Josh
you're trying to
pushed
do
me.
it all on your own, you're never gonna go that far. And that's my world. I have a pretty big world and it's only getting bigger. It's based on leverage, it's based on finding the right people, training them, creating expectations, creating standards and a vision, and then holding them accountable to making it happen, but also giving them enough space to figure it out to some degree on their own and make mistakes, because we're all gonna make mistakes. So that's an ongoing conversation Christen and I have had, and now here she is today, now with the coach, and I want her to tell you more about what that vision is for LA Native, which is amazing. I love the branding and all that, and how it's grown and evolved. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that short history, but what the vision is going
Sure.
forward.
So Josh pushed me to start a team since I got here, and I was vehemently against it because I'm a control freak. I wanted everything perfect all the time. And so I tried very unsuccessfully with business partners. I eventually, I was just handing out business. I couldn't grow and have a personal life. So I thought if I'm handing out business and advising on it, I may as well start a team, right? So during the pandemic, I had, especially the beginning, we were a little slower. We had a couple of months where everyone, I feel like, was kind of holding their breath, particularly in real estate, before the interest rates really skyrocketed, or not skyrocketed, plummeted down. And the market surged back. So I met a woman named Erin Hansen during that time. She had been a mentee. Her mentor had left her office. She contacted me and asked me to look at a residential purchase agreement that she had drafted. It was nearly perfect. And let me tell you, that is rare in my world to see that, even with very experienced agents who know what they mean. Contract is probably what I'm pickiest about. I was impressed because she had been reaching out to me preemptively. Her clients were thinking about making an offer. And I thought to myself, I asked her, hey, how many deals have you done? You're in mentorship, really? How did you get so good at writing contract? And she said, well, I read it. And I say all the time in my classes, read, people, just read. You'll learn so much from reading our documents. So I was very impressed with that. I met her, we continued to work together, and I decided, you know what? Someone who's going to read, I can take the time to expand with.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't have to be necessarily a natural talent of any type there. It doesn't have to be, you know, I didn't care what she looked like. I hadn't seen her yet. I hadn't met her because it was pandemic. All I cared was that she read and she cared, she took the time.
Yeah.
So that was the first start for me. And it was the perfect first person because it was a big leap of faith on my part. What's the rest of the question?
Yeah, so tell us now how that has evolved to bring us current, and then maybe what is the vision for LA Native moving forward?
So between coaching with Justin and bringing Erin on, I found that my business needs at the time were met, but then I got more business because I had more time to go after more business, and because the real estate market got a little crazier, right? So I found, again, I didn't have enough support. So what I've started doing now, as I've needed to expand my team, I'm in a really good position where I have leverage as the training director. I talk to a lot of you. I get to see how you work, the way you think, how you put into action, you know, advice or knowledge I might give to you. And so when someone really impresses me or I like something, I try to think about what that quality is, right? What are the qualities I want for my business? And what do I think is important for me to relay to my clients when I can't be there in person? How does my team stack up now? What am I missing? Who am I missing? So I'll look for those qualities per se, instead of being so impressed by a person anymore. I'm really breaking that person down to who they are, how they operate, what makes them tick. And once I started looking at agents that way, instead of, do I enjoy their time? Do I enjoy their company? Are they super well dressed and glamorous like George and Laura and Jackie? You know, or not? I stopped looking at that and I started thinking about what are the qualities that I want my clients to have. when they can't have me.
And what Kristen says, like I always tell people, your clients, quote unquote, buy a standard that you represent. Other people can represent that same standard a little bit differently. So I think that's really important to recognize. They don't buy you, right? They buy a standard. Other people can deliver that standard. So I think it's really, really important. And I think Kristen is seeing that. And I know conceptually she's always known it, but it's one thing to understand it conceptually. It's another thing to actually do it practically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was a learning experience too. There are times still late at night after, dinner, a glass of wine, I'm like, oh, I should tell this person this thing. But I'm honestly, at this point, with Justin's help, I'm like, no, they can figure it out. I want to see what they do. I trust them.
Right.
Even if it's wrong, we'll fix it. And guess what?
Yeah.
None of my clients complained. No one left. Nothing changed. All that's changed is I have a life now and my business is growing.
Yeah.
Wow, what a
And I have
concept.
friends to commiserate with.
Yeah.
We have fun,
So
That's terrific.
what's the vision 3 years from now? What's the goal if there is one?
Oh, there is definitely a goal. So, like I mentioned, I've been doing this 21 years already. I've worked really, really hard. And beyond that, I worked since I was 15. I'm tired. I have a different team structure because my ultimate goal is to be more of a figurehead, maybe start being in the field and in the office 1 or 2 days a week, if that, and allowing my team agents, my day ones, as I call them, to really truly take over my business, inherit it, and have more of a passive income. And then eventually one day entirely step away from it and still have a revenue source.
So I think that's a great point, is that you can build a business and a team such that you can step away from it. There's an exit strategy. I mean, very few other brokerages other than Keller Williams are teaching any of that, right? Most top agents retire and there's nothing left to be said for it. Their business just disappears. It just, goes away, as opposed to actually continuing to groom the right people that can continue to drive your business, your brand, and you continue to get checks, right? You get a piece of the profit, however you structure it. That's critical, but you got to be proactive and think about it now, such that you create the right structure and the right people that you can eventually step away from it whenever that time is right for that particular individual. I think that's critical. That's called being a business owner, right? That's not being a salesperson. That's actually owning a business, right? That operates potentially without you. That's really, that's again, what drew me to Keller Williams 9 years ago when I first joined this company, because I saw no one else was doing that. And I probably feel more strongly about it now than I ever did. Yeah. Questions for Kristen before I have some other questions, but before, yes, Pamela.
What's the harm, Christen, the reasons, other than an agent is new? What's the motivation for that agent to join your team? And are you grooming that agent? Because it seems to me if the agent is new, the agent's coming to the team for knowledge and information with the plans of going out on their own. Are you grooming them to go out on their own and replace them? Is that part of your strategy?
That is not my model for my team whatsoever, and I make it very clear from the get-go. So I'm looking for someone hungry that wants to be in the business long-term. I also offer a much more generous financial package. I take a lot less money from my agents. I want to make money with them, not off of them. I want them to stay. And I probably spend about 80% of my day training and pouring into my team agents versus actually doing the work. If I teach them, it's okay, they can cover that work. So I'm truly pouring everything that I have into them. I like to sit, one-on-one, we have conversations late at night on the weekend, right? It's definitely not, I don't want turnover. That is not my model. Yeah.
And I'll say
It's a
this.
representation of you, that's why, it's an extension of you.
And this goes broadly because I get asked about teams all of the time. I'm a huge proponent of teams. First of all, as I just talked about, it's leverage. It's the only way you can grow at it once you get to a certain point. Every team has their own unique value proposition. Different style, different ways of lead generating, different ways of leading, different systems in place. I always say a team should offer some piece of leadership, leads, and systems, right? There's sort of 3 buckets, and every team has their own sort of value proposition within each of those 3 buckets. So when and if you're ever interested in a team, and this goes to people in the audience, because I get asked this, like Alex can attest to this, like 20 times a week, all right, is interview with multiple teams, get to know multiple people. Laurent's got an amazing team. Like, get a sense for who they are, what their value proposition looks like, and determine if it's the right fit for you. Because there's no right or wrong to that. There's none that are better or worse than another. They're just unique. And obviously, you're not going to know that unless you get to know them and what they offer.
Yeah, it's a common question I get too. Every team is entirely different. I even have different arrangements within certain agents on my team, depending upon, what their position is, what their strengths are.
Yep. A little bit, talk just briefly about the coaching piece and what that has brought.
Well, it's coaching with Justin. So I am not a big raw girl, right? I technically know what I'm doing. I have a healthy amount of business. I have a really kind of unusual business model for an agent. So I've kind of always balked at coaching. So one of the things, again, that I did when I met Justin Jacobson was I shared that with him. I made sure that the coaching we would do together would feel natural for me and would fit for me. I wanted to be held accountable, but on terms that I would respond to and respect. And I think I found that in Justin. I don't do a 4-1-1. I think I needed more of mindset training. Here are my goals. But also with the team, I particularly needed to set goals for my team and learn how to lead, not just by example, but actually lead a business. I've been a boss before, but I have never been a boss where I felt like people were dependent upon me for their financial, gain. So I take that very seriously. It was very stressful for me, but we've kind of systemized that. Came from Justin helped me work through that. That's not technically my responsibility, right? My responsibility is to ensure that my agents know what they're talking about, feel comfortable, that I'm available to them, that they have support behind them. But getting the business, that's each something individually that we have to do. So that was one of the things that I did was I made sure that agents that I'm working with really had that hunger, that drive, because I'm not that agent. I'm not the strongest lead generator. Most of my business is referral. So that's one of the things we identified together was that I needed in my team agents.
Yeah. So I mean, there's so many layers to what you just said, and then later timing, I'll keep it brief. But I think a lot of people make assumptions about coaching, and a great coach coming back to listening gets to know who they're coaching and caters their coaching according to the individual, right? Where are they? Where do they want to be? What do they respond well to? And they coach accordingly, right? I think Justin would confirm that. So a lot of people, again, make assumptions because they know of a coach or they know someone who got coached, and they just assume all coaches are that way. That's absolutely not the case.
Yeah, I'm guilty
Right?
of that. That's what I assumed, and I
yeah.
balked at it. I would have never thought about it in a million years, but I got to know Justin. He was different. I had that discussion, and I felt very comfortable. And immediately, he showed me that was what he was providing to me was the coaching I needed in terms and in a setting, and delivered the way that I wanted to hear it.
Yeah, and to me, a great coach is also equally a great leader, which comes back to know your audience, right? I always say I treat everyone equally, but not the same. Because I get to know people and I get to understand who they are and what they're going to be responsive to. The other thing I always say about coaching, which some people overlook, coaches often confirm something you already know, but you don't have enough confidence and conviction to act on it, so you don't ever do it. So when a coach can simply, if nothing else, confirm things you already know that give you that much more confidence and conviction to do it, right?
Or
It's
call
one
you
thing,
out when
right,
you don't do
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
It's one thing to know something, it's another thing to do it, right? A lot of people, we
Oh,
have this
yeah.
knowledge, but we don't act on it, right? Without action, nothing comes to fruition, there's no result. So.
Or Justin's like my therapist.
Yeah. So the last piece I'll ask is with respect to the market.
Yeah.
And what you're seeing in the market, and is this, a bubble that's about to burst? Like any just broad, because you see things from a pretty broad perspective. You're obviously a top agent, but you're also coaching. And any sort of insights into that? I know no one has a crystal ball, but I'm curious.
I mean, I've heard some rumblings of it slowing down. I haven't seen it in my little corner back here. It's only been speeding up. What I have seen for myself, and maybe this is indicative of a little change. I went from having tons of buyer sales at the beginning of the year. Now I have tons of listings. And I've always been an agent that carries about both equally. But it shifted from mostly buyers now to mostly sellers. So if that's true across the board, if there's going to be more inventory, you're probably going to see, that shift a little bit, and it might slow down a little bit when buyers have more power, buyers have more choice, if they have more inventory out there, if there are more sellers, right? But I hope that's not the case. The other factor that has nothing to do with my, per se, sales experience is when we heard May talk about loan programs, she's talking about deregulated lending practices. Deregulated lending practices are what led to our last crash. So I'm not saying it's gonna happen now, but when you go no doc loans, when you can do bank statement loans, things like this, when they get packaged and they're resold as an investment product to investors on the market, and those investors don't know the quality of each individual loan going into that portfolio of a group of loans. That could be a place where bad loans are hidden. I don't know that that's the case. I don't know enough about the regulation or deregulation, but what I do know is having had some major pain during the last shift, doesn't matter if it shifts or not. When I start to see and hear things that remind me of the last time, I never want that to happen again. So a lot more money goes into my savings account. Okay, so no, I have a pretty hard designer bag game. There have been no designer bags this year. You know, I usually do big trips. I'm taking trips, but not as big as I was. And I hope that I'm wrong, but these are just things that happened in the last shift. However, when these things started happening, it wasn't a downshift immediately. It was actually more like an upshot for a few years before it came crashing down. So while we're busy, take your money, put it in the bank, reinvest in your business, reinvest in your knowledge so that you are the agent people still want to work with in a market that's not crazy. Yeah.
And take advantage of the frothiness of the market now,
Yeah.
because that may not last forever. Go ahead, Pam.
Two things regarding the mortgages, the comments about that. Bank statement loans have been around, I think they disappeared maybe from 2008 to 2010. But that's not the same thing as the deregulated loans.
Oh, no, they're different things. Yeah.
That's right. So we're good to go. The regulations are holding tight. We're not seeing what we saw during the last crash yet. And I'm not sure it'll ever be that bad because, I mean, no doc loans, I don't think they'll ever go back to
No doc
that.
loans are back.
Are you kidding?
No doc loans are
Yes,
back.
yes, yeah.
That is what,
I haven't
Yeah.
seen it.
it's a
Okay.
more recent development, but it's scary to me.
Then when you get to no doc loans, you're right. But statement loan, bank statements are maybe talking.
So
Those
yeah,
are
if you're
okay.
no doc loan, you're gonna crush it for a couple of years. Save that money.
And my point is, believe in what you sell. Don't just save the money, put it into real estate.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
gonna be your freedom. It's not, you're not gonna be able to do this all the time, just
That's a
like
great
the
point.
athlete is not gonna be able to, Michael
Yeah.
Jordan is not gonna be able to do what he does. Michael Jordan? Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He's not playing, but he's.
So
The
you
metaphor
have
works.
more credibility with your clients.
Absolutely. Pam's point spot on.
You need to own real estate, have tenants, however you own it, in short-term rentals, but you need to own it. It gives you a lot more credibility and a lot more knowledge and a lot more understanding of the product that you're selling.
No matter what happens in
what
the
I have to
market,
say
you need a
about that.
place to live, right?
Yeah. Great point.
While you're alive,
Thank
you
you,
always need
Pam.
a roof over
You
your
can be your own client.
Questions? In the audience too, guys. Don't be bashful. No one's got a question? Come on. All right, I'll end it with one last.
I do.
George.
So, I know I had the opportunity to talk to Christen a lot, and I think she's really passionate about real estate, and I'm very passionate about real estate. So, what would you suggest to any agent to continue to be passionate about it? Because I feel like people lose themselves in the transactions, and they lose themselves, and they get jaded, and it just becomes, that I think that's what I see a lot of people, they lost that ed factor. And the fact that, when I meet a lot of people, they say, oh my God, George, you're very passionate about this, and I know how much work you put in. So what would you tell other agents what would it be your advice?
So no problem. I struggled with this pretty badly this year, actually. Justin helped me with it quite a bit. I really lost the passion. I was feeling very burnt out. I live alone. I was feeling pretty isolated during the pandemic. Travel is my passion, and I wasn't able to do that. So, I mean, I know what led to it. So I would say find your passion outside of real estate, because this job follows you around everywhere. But also very simple things, remembering to practice gratitude. I even post signs for myself, like near the bathroom mirror, or where, when I flip my visor down in my car, if you're ever in my car and you see something embarrassing, don't tell anyone. You know, that reminds me to think about something, to practice gratitude. Find a moment in real estate that you celebrate, that you're really proud of. And when you have those hard moments, try to, you know, consciously bring that win back into your memory. It's not all bad, right? You're in the moment. You can get past it. So find your time outside, find your win, practice gratitude, very simple stuff. Maybe work with someone professional that can help you with these things and help you practice them a little bit better.
Love it. One of my favorite statements is you find what you're looking for. You can either choose to find the good or choose to find the bad, choose to find the problem or choose to find the solution, and come back to gratitude, right? It's amazing how much great things every single one of you have in your lives. Sometimes we lose sight of that, but remembering the good things is critical. And I would also say to that, work with people that respect you, that want to work with you.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's not the case with everyone. Sometimes it's better off to let them go, quite frankly.
I was gonna ask you, George, why did
Yeah.
you decide to work with me? And was it you who asked me, or did I ask you? I don't even remember.
To be honest with you, start from very quick to start. I went to another brokerage and I wanted to join a team at that brokerage. And when I signed the papers of that brokerage, but I gave my resume to Josh and here, Keller Williams. I always wanted to come to Keller Williams for years. When I signed the papers with that brokerage, Josh called me. I said, "Oh no, really?" But anyways, fast forward, I dropped that brokerage and I came to Josh and said, "Look, my desire is to go to a team. My huge desire is to go to a team." Josh said, "No, go to Justin first. Let's do a mentorship program. You talk to Christen, go to Justin, and you do the mentorship program, and then from there you can choose." But after talking to Christen, after talking to Justin, and I saw how they are passionate about the business, but most of all, to give the client their value. Clients are tired. I can see that clients are tired of real estate trying to get transactions from them instead of giving value for them. And when I talked to Christen, it was one of the biggest things that I saw in her is that she truly tried to give value to the clients, truly tried to represent them the best way. That I want to get the money, I want to receive the commission, of course, it's business, but most of all, I'm doing a service to them, I'm a business to them. And that's one of the things, and more than all of that, besides all of that, her knowledge and contracts, it is amazing. So I said, I want to be, I truly told her, I said, I want to be a Christen with a dark skin. Because with no hair. And no hair, yes. And because I love how she truly knows every paragraph of the contract, and she can explain it with such a confidence to the client, that the client said, "You know what, I put my trust in you." And that's very important. So one day I was coming back from my place, I saw a message on Instagram, and she said, "I want to talk to you." I said, "Oh, snap, I did something wrong."
I did. That's right. I remember.
And then I received a call, and I told my wife, I said, "Oh, snap, I think Christen wanted me to join her team." I said, "That's what I wanted, but I didn't feel comfortable going to a team yet." So I said, "You know what, let me do the mentorship program with Justin, do this first, and later on I think about the team." And well, she came and it was such a blessing. So she showed me, mainly one of the things that she showed me when we went to talk is this: I want to grow with me. And that's very important for us as an agent, and even myself as a new agent. Because, you know, some people is not genuine like that. You know, they can take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
So that was very, very important. And plus, I can be of value to my clients. That's very important as well.
So in the interest of time, I just want to elaborate a little bit on that. There's a lot of great agents that have teams, and they're not great leaders. This is across the board. This is in Keller and way beyond in every other brokerage. So there are very few, I would argue, top agents that are also great leaders. And definitely Christen is one that actually genuinely care about the growth and success of their people, right? And it's not about me. And I forget, I think you said it, it's like, how do I get how do I make money off them as opposed to with them?
Yeah, I wanna make
Oh,
money
yeah,
with you, I wanna
totally.
build with you.
Yeah.
It's a
And,
mindset.
and one of the things that I like the most is she let us do our business. So if I have a question to her, she's gonna, well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, yeah.
And because she
You learn to
taught,
think for yourself.
yeah, exactly. Okay, well, what's gonna be the decision gonna make? And then from there, she's like, okay, you can do this, but try to switch this way. And even the words, I love how she used the words correctly in certain situations. You have to be careful with your words, be careful what you say. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it's not up to us what we do in real estate, it's up to our clients. We're there to facilitate their desires. So we have to know what all the options are, be able to break it down and explain it. And whether or not it's what we would do or what we believe in, we have to support it with our full belief and our full heart. And I try to run my team that same way. Here are all of our options, here's the way we can talk to the client. This is what could potentially happen in this instance. And I leave it up to my agents. It's not my business. They're not my clients. We are a team together. What we have is our bond, our contract, our camaraderie. But, it doesn't have to be my way or the highway. What I demand is that you know what you're talking about.
Great leaders don't tell you what to do. They ask good questions and help you self-discover what's best for you. Right?
Exactly.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you, guys. We're gonna wrap this up. Thanks for being patient, sticking with us. I hope it was highly valuable. We'll see you soon.
How are you?
It always is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Starts at the top, Jack.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
It does though. When you speak and you have purpose.
Yeah.
You always let people express themselves.
Yeah.
And you hear them. Even if you don't agree, you
Yeah.
give them your opinion and
Yeah,
they have
that's
their
it.
opinion and you help guide
No
them.
one likes to be told what to do. I mean, that's the
Never,
reality,
right?
So it's not very effective,
I've seen a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been in this 16 years now, and you're one of the best
I appreciate
in this.
it. Yeah, and we learn from all of each other.
Right? Can't we learn from everyone?
Oh, totally. That's the, none of us is as smart as